growing up, I was kind of this high-achieving kid. I got straight A's in school. I like to play sports and I like to be good at sports. And I kind of had struggles with disappointing people because I felt I always had to be perfect and I always had to be the best version of me that I can be. And obviously, that's not always sustainable for literally anyone. I had this sort of mental illness where when I couldn't live up to those, perfection standards, that I had felt like I was a complete failure to everyone around me or I was a disappointment. And that led to feelings of, I shouldn't be here anymore. What's the point? I just disappoint everyone anyway. That night, I made the decision that I was going to try and take my own life because I felt like I had let everyone down and that it wasn't worth living like that anymore. After I pulled the trigger on the gun, everything kind of went black. And then I woke up, obviously going through a lot of pain, a lot of shock, and a lot of trauma. So it wasn't a conscious thought I had. It was more of an instinct that my life had been saved and that I needed to fight to survive because it had been saved for a reason. And now I kind of see what that reason is because now with doing what I'm doing, I'm potentially saving hundreds, if not thousands of other people's lives from attempting suicide. Communication is the key to prevention. Obviously, we don't want anybody trying to take their own life. But to prevent that, we need to talk about it. It needs to be out in the open so people know what their resources are. They know that they're not alone. And then from there, we can go towards preventing suicide. Or I remember one night, I was just kind of laying in bed. And I thought, what if some kid out there who's in that same dark spot that I was, that is thinking about taking their own life, what if they heard of me? They heard that I made it out of that, and they heard that I'm doing well today and that I'm better than I ever have been, and they decide not to try and take their own life. So social media being the way that it is today with every teenager being on it, right? I figured, well, TikTok is like the most booming social media right now, so I'm like, why don't I make like a quick 1-minute video TikTok of just summarizing my story, my experiences, and the fact that I'm still here today and that I'm doing well. And it blew up like overnight. I think I woke up the next morning and it had like 150,000 views, 50,000 likes, thousands of comments. And I'm like, wow, I really have something here. And I was just scrolling through the comments and it was just all so positive. People were saying, you convinced me not to attempt to take my own life. Or, I was really struggling before this. I was not having a great time, but this really encouraged me and inspired me. Just thousands of comments like that, and it really uplifted me. And when you help people, I found, especially for me, when you help other people in that kind of way, it really brings up your spirits too. It makes you feel happy inside, and that's become sort of a therapy for me. Because like I said, it's giving a pretty big meaning to my life, saving others. So from then on, I've started posting more, obviously because my story has a lot of detail that I could get into. 4 years of these experiences. There's a lot of stuff I could talk about. So I started posting more TikTok videos, more YouTube videos, and the outreach on those continued to be exceptionally large and exceptionally positive. The amount of time that I put into making videos or, going to public speaking events, preparing my notes, that kind of thing, I always think, if the amount of work I put into this and one person sees my work, one person sees my videos, one person attends one of my talks, and it saves their life, then all the previous work I had just done, immediately worth it, right? And that's kind of what motivates me because now I know that not only am I saving one person's life, I'm potentially saving hundreds. I was 14 when I attempted to take my own life, so obviously those young teenagers who were dealing with the things I were doing, that kind of hits close to home to me because my initial reason for doing this was making sure those teenagers didn't go to the place that I went to and didn't have to go through the things that I went through. So I really enjoy talking to that teenage group because they know that I know what it's like to be in their shoes, right? So I really connect with those younger audiences, especially because they can relate to me and they know in return that I can relate to them. I've been where you've been, whoever's sitting there in that dark spot where it feels like there's no other option but to try and take your own life. I've had those feelings, and I'm kind of living proof today that you can make it out of that spot. Obviously, I've been just as low as about anyone can go, and I've been down there, and here I am today, kind of in the light at the end of the tunnel, and you can make it out of there too. I know in the moment it feels like that sadness, that anger, that's gonna last forever. I know that feeling, that you're the only way to get rid of those feelings is to leave this world. But I can tell you that, they do go away, and you're gonna make it out of this okay.